Do you believe that growing older automatically means slowing down, gaining weight, or facing illness? Dr. Wayne Dyer challenged these beliefs by proving that the true secret to health and vitality begins with your mind. Wayne emphasized that circulation, movement, and a powerful intention to stay healthy are foundational not just for physical strength, but for spiritual and emotional wellness. In this video, we'll share Wayne Dyer's life-changing lessons on how you can reverse negative beliefs, move with intention, and achieve vibrant health at any stage of life. Special thanks to Hay House for partnering with us to release this video exclusively here on my YouTube channel. If you've been here before, drop a hashtag Believe in the comments below so I can feature you here in a future video. And if you're new, welcome to Believe Nation, the only channel that helps you believe in yourself daily, one video at a time. Believe.
Dr. Dyer, welcome to the program.
Thank you, my dear.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Are you?
Yes, I am, actually.
Is there room in the studio for you?
Well, to everybody listening, what he's referring to is I'm about to have a baby in another 6 weeks, so
that's right.
Getting tight here behind the console, but I'm hanging in there.
Married soon too, I understand.
Whoa! Now that was not nice.
Sorry about that. No,
to my husband of 18 years.
You've already got a little girl. Just a joke, folks.
It's okay. You play. Well, today we're talking about some of the physical things that you do because we talk so much about spirituality and your mental processes. And I know you're always sort of putting in there how you do Bikram yoga and how you run. And, it just dawned on me that you really support all of your mental development with a real solid physical underpinning. And I thought maybe you could share that with us today.
Yeah, I think it's the reverse, though. I think, you support your physical existence and your physical world with your ideas and with your thoughts and with your mental focus in your life. Because, it's true in all aspects of our lives. We become what we think about, and our bodies become what we think about. And it doesn't make any difference what age you are or what your position is in life or where you live or how busy you are or whatever it is, that staying active and understanding that I really believe that circulation is the key to health in everything in your life. I remember Einstein's famous observation about the quantum physics was that nothing happens until something moves, that everything in the universe is energy, everything is movement. And we have an inclination sort of within ourselves very often to stop that process. I remember reading some books about the people, the Aborigines in Australia, and how when they, in the olden times, when they would break a bone, for example, they would just reset the bone immediately, pack it with mud or whatever it is that they used to hold it together. But the key to the healing of it, what they believed, was movement right away, getting yourself active and walking on that reset bone so that it would facilitate the healing process. And I think it's true virtually in all of us that we have a tendency to just want to do things, keep ourselves inert and not move and sit back, become couch potatoes, if you will. And I just sit here where I live on Maui, and I watch as people walk by. I live right on the ocean, and there's a walkway right in front here that, I see people walking by from all over the country, and it's just amazing the numbers of people who are just grossly overweight, which just really just boils down to, a lack of an understanding of the fact that your bodies become the result of the way that you think, and your thoughts are what create the action in your life. I even had this experience with my mother, who's going to be 90 years old in 2 months, and she sat around a lot, and she was had a great deal of pain in her back and was almost crying almost every time I would talk to her. The pain was so unmanageable. She was talking about going to pain clinics and so on. And I said, if you change your awareness of yourself, and she started right away to say, well, I'm 89 years old. And I said, no, just change your awareness of yourself. You can't sit in the same position and just sit and watch television throughout the day and not expect your body to worsen and not expect the pain to intensify. I said, and so I got her a CD on yoga that was on public television, and we sent it to her. It's called Yoga for All of Us, and she started doing it. And in less than 2 days of just doing 15 or 20 minutes of activity, she's been pain-free now for a couple of months. And it's just proof always to me that circulation and movement and keeping active is a very important part of the healing process. So what I do for myself, and I've been doing this my entire life, and I'm 65 years old, I run or walk a minimum of 90 minutes every single day. I just take the time to do it. It's my thinking time. I tell people I'm a prophet. I get paid by the thought. So I have to go out and I have to walk. And I also do yoga about 5 times a week. I've only been doing that for 4 or 5 months, but it's totally, completely changed my life. And I just substituted playing tennis, which is what I used to do on a regular basis, almost every single day, which the pounding of that was starting to get to my joints and my back and so on. So I decided to let that go and to take up the more gentle pressure of yoga, which is a way of just sort of exercising every facet of your body. And I also swim. I just came out of the ocean just now, 10 minutes before I did this talk, because I was on the phone with a real good friend of mine in London for the past hour or so, and I said, I've got to get off the phone. I want to go swim before I do the show, because for me, doing something physical before I get on the show on the air and I start talking to people and doing this radio show is just a way of getting my body stimulated, getting my brain stimulated, getting the cells of my body active and so on. And when I look at the universe, when I look at everything in our universe, even the things that appear to be solid and sitting and standing still, if you look at a quantum level, look at the molecules and the atoms and the electrons and the subatomic particles, and as you examine all of these things, you see that it's movement, 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 circulation, circulation, circulation. And the more you think in these kinds of terms, the less inclined your body will be to go into a state of atrophy or a state of obesity or a state of sickness and illness, and you won't attract those kinds of things into your life. You make absolute declarations to yourself about what anticipation, what you expect from your body. And I know this is going to sound a little bit scary to some people out there, but you have to make declarations and assertions and knowings that what you're willing and not willing to allow into your body. You're not going to allow an old person to move into your body. And when I say an old person, I mean a person who is slowed way down, a person who is creaky, a person who has difficulty in movement and so on. That person isn't going to be allowed to move into your body. And you make other declarations, and I've made them in my life, and I'll make them again. I will not allow arthritis to come into my body. It's just not an option. My body is not going to house something called arthritis. I will not allow any kind of Alzheimer's or any kind of mental loss. There's nothing in the DNA of human beings that says that they have to decline as their bodies age. There's nothing in there. So I have just made a decision that I will not allow that kind of an experience to come into my life. And I assert it, and I make that as a statement, and I live from that principle, and I act upon that principle on a regular basis. I will not allow myself to decline in my abilities to do the things that I've been doing my entire life. I will not, and you make these kinds of affirmations for yourself, fearlessly, and not with an idea that, oh my God, what if it does come about? What if that's not an option that you even allow in. It is not something that is going to enter into my body. I will not have that in my life. And as you do this, as you begin to make this practice, you begin to realize that this thing called the mind-body connection is much, much greater than anything that you might have ever thought about in the past. The idea that your body becomes what you think about, your thoughts. And I remember my friend Deepak Chopra saying to me, if you want to know what your thoughts were like 10 years ago, look at your body today. And if you want to know what your body's going to look like 10 years from now, look at your thoughts from today on. And one of the things that we discovered about people who, when they reach their 70s, 80s, and 90s, and their bodies begin to deteriorate, one of the very strong factors that is the cause of this kind of deterioration in the body for people who get up into their upper years is what they believed about what it meant to be 70, 80, or 90 when they were in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. In other words, if you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s and you have a belief system that says, I am going to decline, I am going to get weaker, then that's exactly what you'll begin to manifest and attract into your life.
Well, Dr. Dyer, you just made me think of how I see myself in my 80s and 90s, and I have to reevaluate that right now.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Dyer, are you ready to go to some calls now?
I am definitely ready.
Let's do it. We've got Marissa from Saddle River, New Jersey. Welcome to the show, Marissa.
Oh, thank you so much, Summer. Hi, Dr. Dyer.
Hi, Marissa. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. I feel so blessed. I spoke with you back in November.
Uh-huh.
I was the one with the 2 daughters who were really sick and had changed my life with all your readings and spiritual teaching.
I remember.
Okay, great. I was calling back because at this point, I'm at a point where I need to earn a living for my daughters, to support my daughters, and I'd like to do something that's actually true to my passion. What I've discovered since I spoke with you last time is that I've been speaking a lot to a lot of close friends about your teachings, and my two closest friends actually said they don't even recognize me anymore, that I'm a completely different person than I was even a year ago. And interestingly enough, I've been talking to them a lot. They've been coming to me a lot with questions regularly and asking how your teachings might help them solve their problems. And I have a friend who's a nurse who spent some time in a nursing home and had some concerns very similar to what you were talking about in your talk about aging.
Right.
And my response to her was so similar to what you said, it gave me a chill down my spine.
Really?
It was amazing. But anyway, the reason I'm calling you is in terms of passion. It looks like my passion is that I really want to give to people what you gave me in terms of a gift and transforming and changing my life. And I wondered if you had any practical suggestions on how I may be able to do that.
Well, always when people ask me that question about practical suggestions, I always tell people that they have to really listen to their own inner voice, and they can't, no one can deliver my speech, no one can write my book, and no one can live, can do it the way I've done it.
Exactly.
So, I've certainly been willing to share how I've done it in a lot of my writing, and particularly in the new one, in Inspiration. I'm talking about the kinds of things that I've done, but that doesn't always work for other people. The most important thing that I think you can do is to hold the vision. And when you hold the vision of seeing yourself doing what it is that you're talking about, and keeping that vision firm so that you don't allow any obstacles, you don't allow anything into it. One of my very all-time favorite quotes is from Nikos Kazantzakis, who wrote Zorba the Greek and The Last Temptation of Christ. Great Greek writer, brilliant, beautiful man. And he said that by passionately believing in that which doesn't exist, we create it. And I think that's really important to know. And then he said that which we call non-existent has just not been sufficiently desired. So it's having what we call a burning desire inside of us. That's what Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich talked about. It's like the thing that distinguishes people who are manifestors and who create what it is that they want from those who do not, those who live at ordinary levels of consciousness and just sort of take whatever comes along and, don't manifest what it is that they know is in their heart's desire.
Right.
Is this thing called this burning desire. It's like it's something that you just can't put out. And I'm really amazed by this because it's happening to me again right now. I've got a book coming out. I've got a public television special coming out. I've got another book coming out on QVC called Being in Balance. I've got all of these things that are, so you would think that this would be the time that I would just sort of sit back and just let it all flow and just, sort of relax and all. And I find myself, like the last 4 or 5 mornings, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning and writing about something about living the Tao Te Ching, this very important Chinese philosopher from Lao Tzu from 2,500 years ago. And I'm sitting there, like this morning, thinking, what am I doing? Why am I up here writing when I've got all of these other things? And it's like, because the vision is so strong, and I know that there's a force that is operating in the world that's bigger than my life. It's bigger than my choices. It's bigger than my ego. It's bigger than who I am. And that force, Lao Tzu called it the Tao, is something that when you surrender to it and when you allow it, then the guidance will come to you, and the right people will come, the financing will all show up, and it stops showing up because you lose the vision or because you allow an obstacle to become the vision rather than seeing that as just an opportunity for you to transcend something and keep moving on. You'll be given the guidance. You'll be given even the fact that you picked up the phone today and called and were put on hold and all of that indicates that you are in that place. Does that make sense, what I'm saying to you?
It absolutely does, and it just confirms that I'm on the right track. The miracles that are coming into my life are endless, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to try to reach out today. And
and it's good that you do.
I feel so blessed.
But you need to really have that awareness that, you know what, it's like, say it. You'll see, when you see the new PBS show in March, you'll see that I have these words that say, it's on its way. And it's like, you keep that in mind. It's on its way. Like, whatever it is that you feel is something that you absolutely need to do, like this kind of work and transforming other people's lives and reaching out and serving. This is what you're asking about. You say to yourself, my role in all of this is on its way. Whatever it is that I am to do, it's on its way. The financing, it's on its way. The right people, they're on the way. The circumstances that I need, it's on its way. The guidance it's on its way. In other words, so now you're starting to look, instead of looking for reasons why it can't happen and telling yourself that it probably won't and I need somebody else's advice on how to do it, instead, everything that comes along, everything that you pick up a newspaper, you turn on a TV show, you pick up a magazine, there will be clues in there. Everywhere you go, the telephone calls, the weird little synchronicities that just start to show up, all of that means that you're aligning yourself with Spirit and allowing what you were intended to be before you ever showed up as a little baby in New Jersey or wherever you were. You were intended to go to this perfect, beautiful, divine place called inspiration, to be in Spirit. And you'll start looking for the clues everywhere, and they'll show up in spades. I was talking to my friend in London, and I was telling her this just an hour ago, and she was saying, but so many things are happening, so many good things. I said, yeah, and it's all a part of the Tao. It's like it's surrendering to the Tao, and the Tao is that which animates all things. It's allowing and saying it's on its way, and what's coming is something that I deserve. It's something that I've created, because I'm connected to my source. I know I'm going on and on. I get very passionate about this.
Oh, I appreciate your passion, believe me, and I share it with you, and I'm so excited that I really do feel like I'm...
What kind of clues have you had just recently? You said miracles are coming into your life. Share them with the audience. So you're talking to people all over the world. What kinds of things have shown up that you said your friends don't even recognize you anymore? What's different? What's happening?
Well, what's happening is, I guess the primary thing is that I am just so at peace. That whole idea of being an infinite soul rather than a human, just a human person has just grabbed a hold of me. I mean, I just feel so connected to God where I've been searching my whole life for that kind of a connection. And I found it in your teachings. And just at peace, a true feeling that everything is happening exactly the way it's supposed to. And I'm patient now. I can wait. I don't have to control everything all the time.
And what has shown up that didn't show up before?
Oh, well, support, help. I mean, these people were all around to help me before. I just didn't see it.
When the student is ready, right?
Oh, it's just amazing. And you showed up right at the perfect moment where I could listen. I mean, I just listened to you for a good 6 months every single day, would read and listen and just absorbed it and just got a sense of calm, like I'm not alone. I am always in Spirit. And just knowing that I'm part of God, I treat myself better. I go into situations with a lot more confidence. I'm just lighter.
You're smiling more. You have a serenity about yourself.
And I'm bringing genuine happiness to all my situations rather than an artificial happiness.
Yeah.
Where I was just painting on a smile. I really do feel good.
And you're doing it right now, by the way, Marissa. Right now, just by talking about this on the air. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you, Marissa.
Thanks.
Truly my pleasure. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you.
Well, Dr. Dyer, I let you go on with Marissa because what you were saying to her was so universal, and she was so, I don't know, she felt so far along.
Oh, absolutely. She's great. Yes.
It just felt so good to hear someone that far along sharing with us and making us all feel like, yes, you can do this.
Yes, and things start to work for you. No, she has a great call. She's beautiful. Yeah, I love that.
Well, let's hope that Sue in Davison can be as inspirational for us. Sue, what do you think? Do you want to try?
Yes.
Hi,
right.
Sue.
Hi, Dr. Dyer.
Where are you?
I'm in Davison, Michigan, about 10 miles east of Flint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Close to where I grew up.
Yeah, I grew up in Troy, but
Oh.
I'm up here now.
Well, I was on the east side of Detroit also. So.
Yes, through your tapes and books, which I want to thank you so much. They've just saved my sanity.
Really?
Like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, that's great.
But I've read so much, and, I feel like I said you've helped me tremendously, but I'm trying to help I have two stepdaughters that I've been with since they were 1 and 2. They are now 16 and 17.
So you're their mom.
Yep. And I, generally don't even refer to them as my stepdaughters, but because of the situation. And they've gone back and forth. They're with us for a week, and then they're with their other family for a week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my 17-year-old has made a few bad choices, nothing terrible in my eyes, but, done a few things, and her other family has chose to kick her out of the house. So she's been with us, and which is fine, but, I know, again, that eventually things aren't going to be okay until everything's back to normal. But they're kind of, my younger daughter, the 16-year-old, is absolutely just hateful towards her sister. Just, they go to school together. She gives her dirty looks. She won't talk to her. She won't talk to me, which we've always been so close.
Mm-hmm. How old is she? She's 17?
Well, the oldest one is 17, and then the younger one that is having all these problems is 16. I mean, the 17-year-old, since she's been here, I've been, talking to her,
right.
and she's listened to a couple of your CDs I've purchased, and, she's feeling good, and she's doing great, and, she was accused of a lot of things she never even really did. Why, I don't know, but, there's been a little bit of ups and downs over the last 15 years or whatever, and, but for the most part, I just don't understand, and I don't know what to do to get her back in our life.
When you say she's out of your life in the sense that she's more distant and she's a little more hostile, and is that what you mean?
Well, since her mother kicked my oldest one out, and said, I don't want you here anymore, don't come back, because every time my older daughter made a bad choice, it seems like it was the week that she was at her mom's house.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's taking that, I know, as, oh, I look like a bad mother, and you guys look better than me, and, it's not anything about that.
Right.
When it really comes down to it, but, number one, I don't know how to change her thinking.
Yeah.
And I just, as sisters, they've always been close. They've had their differences,
right.
like most kids do.
But what is the problem right now?
Well, the youngest, the 16-year-old, doesn't want to be here when her sister is here. And my husband has told her that, I'm not choosing between my daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're either going to be a family, or if you choose not to be here, then that's your choice.
Right. And then how is that with you?
Well, in listening to you, like I said, you saved my sanity. Mm-hmm. I know that eventually things will work out.
Exactly. You already know the answer because, you're talking to the father of 8 here, okay? And we had 5 and 8 years, okay? And now they're teenagers and 20s, okay? And if you would have ever heard the things that they said to each other at the ages of 15 and 16 and 17 and 13 and 14, whatever it is, and the kinds of, and if you could see them today in their 20s, just a few years later, they don't even go anywhere without consulting each other. They exchange clothes with each other. And before, if one of them would have picked up the other one's clothes and used it without permission, oh my God, that was like, that was a capital offense. So this kind of thing, it's almost as if you have to step outside. And there's a thing that Patanjali says that when you're inspired, your consciousness expands in every direction, which means that you sort of step outside and you see them, not at 16 and 17, but see them at 23 and 24 as best friends. And know that 23 and 24-year-oldness of best friends is exactly the same as when they were 4 and 3, when they were best friends and inseparable, and they played with each other and all of that. That all of this is a part of the perfection of it all. And that these things that siblings do to each other, particularly in those years, they're really saying, I'm going to try out my absolute worst behavior in places where I know I can't be rejected. And that's why they try it out on their mothers. Right. And why they try because if they tried that stuff out on their friends or anybody else, their friends would say, get away from me, I don't even want to be around you. But your siblings, they're going to be there no matter what. So here's an opportunity for me to be just as nasty and grumpy and, hateful and spiteful and everything else, and know that I'm still going to get love back in return. And if you can step outside of that and know that, you're going to be much more at peace. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah, it absolutely does. I guess, one of my worst things is I'm impatient, and I just wrote my 16-year-old letter, and
it's not going to work.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's not going to work.
That's what my husband keeps saying. And he says,
it's not going to work. They are going to go through what it is that they have to go through, but behind it all, at the basis of it all, is something called love. It's there. They have it for each other, even though it doesn't show in those kind of ways. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to sit around and tolerate a lot of obnoxious behavior. You don't have to tolerate any of that, and you can certainly set limits, and I think your husband made a very good point. It's like you're going to be here, and we're going to work this thing out as a family.
Okay.
And I talk about in the new show on Inspiration, I talk about the Bememba tribe, who, when there is somebody that is really acting in an obstreperous kind of disruptive way, that if you put them in a circle and everybody just shares how much they love that person and what all the great, wonderful qualities about that person, rather than continuing to point out, because 16, 17, these are ages when, especially with girls, they're going through all kinds of identity crisis. They're really women, but they're children,
Right.
So they got children's privileges, but they're really women. I mean, it's like 100 years ago, they would have already had their own children, And so they're in this, like, sort of mixed up kind of role and all of that, and they're constantly challenging. This is when they usually try drugs, and this is when they'll try new language, and perhaps, do things to their bodies that, that other people find offensive and so on. And, you just sort of stand back and let them go through all of that and be at peace with it. That's my advice. I don't know.
Well, Sue.
That's great. No, it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I really appreciate it, and please keep up all your work.
Thank you. God bless you. I appreciate it.
All right, Sue. We're going to let you go now, but appreciate your call. Dr. Dyer, we have just enough time to get David from Cranston, Rhode Island on to the program to at least describe his question for us. David, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dr. Dyer.
Hi, David. Where are you?
Cranston, Rhode Island.
Oh, okay.
So I just start out by echoing some of the comments by Marissa in New Jersey. I've been very improved, I guess is the word, by your work, and I feel like you're my best friend. I read so much, and
well, thank you. What a nice way to
Dr.
put
Dyer, this is kudos for you day, isn't it?
Yes.
We've got about a minute, David.
Okay.
Go ahead and describe your question.
My question is, as I continue to grow here, one of the problems I face on a regular basis is trying to suppress my ego when I'm faced with reactions by others who knew the old Dave and who are saying, gosh, trying to bait me into arguments. And
yes.
I'm just not giving that off anymore. I'm not allowing that type of spirit to come out of me. So how do you address those people without, calling up your ego and I'm better than you, or,
You remind them of a great book title that I read years and years ago. It's called What You Think of Me Is None of My Business. And it's really a great lesson to learn. In other words, you don't have to be nasty. You don't have to be surly. You don't have to be argumentative. You can just have a knowing within that you know exactly why they're doing what they're doing.
So one of the specific examples of pushback that I get, I'm in business. I'm actually a vice president and have been a vice president of sales for the last 15 years. And my new approach is in providing stark honesty to my customers and to...
I love that.
And to bring them as much support and kindness through the way I interact, which is not going over well with people at my company and with some of my channel partners, but the results are tremendous. And I'm being more successful than ever, but they keep pushing back saying, you can't do that.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? What a breakthrough idea. Truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the negative reaction that you're getting from the higher-ups or whoever it is that you're having difficulty with?
Well, just the objection.
Too blunt, you mean, or too...
Well, they're saying that, we can't go ahead and give them this information that, once they learn that, they won't work with us. And I said, well, I disagree. I think when you're honest with people and you give them sort of the support that you'd like to get if you were them, maybe we lose this immediate deal, but they come back, and they have. And they find a way to work with us, and they consistently say to me, your honesty is worth more than 20% from some other place, so I'm going to continue to do this because I just get this feeling now that's so different than anything I've ever gotten from you.
Sure. I just went through the experience of getting a new car, and I looked at 2 or 3 different places and did a few test driving and so on, and I knew immediately, within the first minute, whether I was being treated by someone who was really going to be honest with me about the car that I was purchasing and about what it is that they could provide and what they couldn't provide, and whether or not they were more interested in making a sale and making a commission than they were in providing me with what it was that I was looking for in the way of an automobile. And I finally came across this person who told me, what the shortcomings were, what I could expect and what I couldn't expect, and what they could offer and what they couldn't offer. And I knew that this person, because one of the things that he said was, there's another dealer down the road that might have what it is that you're looking for. This is what we have, but you might want to look at. And as soon as he said that, it's like I thought, well, I'm dealing with somebody who's really, for the first time, more concerned about me as his customer than he's concerned about himself and making his commission. Isn't that kind of what you're saying?
You've given an example that's close to home.
Yeah.
But the reaction from the customers is the exact same thing. They'll say, wow, that's so interesting that you would point me down there, and they'll work harder to buy from me at that point.
Exactly, and I had just such a sense of trust. Now, let's take that same the metaphor that we're talking about and extend it to our government. It's like, isn't one of the things that you're talking about here isn't I mean, when you hear government people talking about what the people can hear and what they can't hear, whether we can do surveillance on them or not do surveillance on them without them even being aware of it and so on, almost as if we're, the people, very often by the people who are, quote, in charge, the leaders, have made this assumption that the people can't take the truth.
Right.
That they get, and isn't that when you feel the most contempt for the people that are, quote, called leaders, is when, it's not when they tell us that, you got to pay taxes and it's when they start telling you things that you, or not telling you things, or holding things back and treating you as if you somehow weren't strong enough to be able to handle the real truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that, knowing that that's where you are, and if you do a kinesiology test on this, what you're talking about here, and just have the thought of, should I be truthful with my customers, or should I be more focused on what's in it for me, you'll find that you go strong. You'll be very, very strong when you hold the thought of truth, because the body itself is an instrument of truth. I would say that those who can't handle it, and as you said, your results are probably even better.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Your sales go up, and you're also making friends rather than just making customers.
And I'm pushing away the kind of people that I don't want to be around.
Which is great.
Sure is.
And ultimately you might have to even go into business for yourself. You might even have to leave a business or leave an organization in which the people are trying to tell you what you have to be, and it's inconsistent with what you know to be your truth. And very often you'll make those kind of choices. I've had to do that on several occasions in my life, and always it worked out for the better for me.
Your insight is inspirational, because I started my own business last month, and I'm already having great success.
Yeah, so you've known. You have a great knowledge. Thanks, David. I really appreciate your call. It's a great call. God bless you, my friend.
Love it. Yeah.
Namaste.
All right, David, that was great. Dr. Dyer. We have Joe now calling from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Joe, welcome to the show.
Hello, Dr. Dyer.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
I've seen your program on the power of intention on the local PBS channels down there.
Yeah, they play it a lot down there, don't they?
Yes, it is a wonderful program.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, it really, that's when I've listened to you, I want to, for the past 30 years, I've worked on many things and trying to, pull together several things in my life, and in the description of, relativity, things of that nature. I've more gone towards the actual spatial and things of that nature. But I had come upon, I've worked on what I refer to now as filament method. This is merely I'm not a physicist or anything like that. I'm just a...
What do you mean by it?
Well, what it is...
Joe, may I have you speak up a little bit louder, and you're going to have to condense this down for us, because we're at the very end.
My intention was to create a method for describing the universe.
Uh-huh.
And you've obviously heard of the Big Bang Theory.
Yes, I have.
What I have proposed is the fact that the universe is created in total.
Mm-hmm. All at once?
Well, it exists all at once.
That's we could get into a very long philosophical discussion on that
Joe,
subject. And,
what is your question?
I agree with you, by the way. I mean, because we only have a minute or so here, I agree that when you talk about oneness and perfect oneness, then there's no beginning and there's no end, there's no before, there's no after, there's no up, there's no down.
There would, in this methodology, you wouldn't have things like time travel. It creates the universe as, like a stack of cloth would be.
I have a thought for you just because we've got to close out this call, Joe.
Okay.
And that is, project yourself 200 years into the future, which is now. And think of, like, we have fax machines now.
Yes.
That, that 10 years ago we couldn't have even conceived of.
Right.
Now, imagine yourself being able to fax yourself to any place on this planet. Just being able to step into a machine and fax yourself. And then being able to fax yourself not only to any place on this planet, but to any time on this planet. So if you want to be in 1451, you can fax yourself not only to Spain, but you can fax yourself to Spain in the year 1490, because 1490 and 2006 are exactly the same.
Right. If you would be interested, I do have, it's like a 6-page paper.
Send it to me through Hay House. That'd be great. I'd love to see that.
Right, I can email it to you.
Okay.
That's right, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
In fact, anyone listening, thank you for your call, Joe.
And congratulations, you're one video closer to who you're meant to be. For some more incredible Wayne Dyer videos, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll love them. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I had an amazing experience on Friday evening. Just very, very, very beautiful, an ayahuasca ceremony. And I have two friends here on Maui who just went through a horrible tragedy. They lost their 14-month-old baby.